Marcellus Wiley, I'm not alone. But Emmanuel Acho is out today, so week 2 in the NFL, off and running. We're going to get it started with me and my boys and a big matchup that will be attending right here in L.A. My Chargers. And those Cowboys, they'll be without 4 starters when they travel to play my L.A. Chargers out here at SoFi Stadium, best stadium in the NFL. And Dak Prescott talked about adversity and said, quote, last thing you can dwell on, what happened? Dallas will have their hands full with Justin Herbert, who threw for over 300 yards with a touchdown pass in last week's win. Joined now by Bucky Brooks and Slick Rick the Bucher. So, Slick, are you more confident in Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert this weekend?
I, Celis, am more confident in Justin Herbert by a long stretch. And it has less to do with a referendum on the 2 quarterbacks, Dak versus Justin, as it does what they face. I believe in Dak. I just don't believe in what Dak has to overcome in order to get a victory this weekend. So I look at it, all the challenges. Number one, you mentioned it, the four missing Cowboys. You're missing their 2 defensive starting defensive ends. You're playing on the road. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. It's also, I said, it's not a complete referendum on the 2 quarterbacks. But it's a bit of a referendum on the 2 quarterbacks because there just seems to be something about Justin Herbert. I saw the piece that Manuel Acho did the other day about quarterbacks who just find a way to win. And he didn't mention Justin Herbert, and I felt that he should have because Herbert is putting himself in that camp. He had a mixed bag against the Washington football team. But again, as you mentioned, drove them for the winning TD and then had a clock-killing drive in order to get the win. Meanwhile, I've got Dak Prescott, who is playing well beyond what we could have expected, considering he missed most of training camp against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions, and yet it wasn't enough to win. So I look at the 2 and what they face and the roles that they are on respectively, and I have to go with Justin Herbert.
I am with you right there because it is Justin Herbert. And everyone knows my affinity for Dak Prescott. He's on my Mount Rushmore in terms of protected players. You can never say anything bad about him. So I won't say anything bad about Dak Prescott. I'm going to say some good stuff about Justin Herbert. Good Lord. Woo! Justin Herbert, sneaky 5-game winning streak going back to last year. Justin Herbert, sneaky in those 5 games, 71% completion percentage, 105 passer rating, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Sneaky excellent is Justin Herbert. Now, Dak Prescott, I have to use you against you, Dak. This is not me talking bad about you. It's just showing you that you are not perfect. Dak has lost 12 of his last 19 games, y'all. Despite his passing yards going up, despite him playing great football at times. But it's not just about Dak Prescott showing out. It's about the Dallas Cowboys showing up, and that's the problem. In the last 54 drives Dak Prescott has had as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, he's had the ball only twice leading in those drives. Dak Prescott is on a team that is not supporting his excellence. Where if you look at Justin Herbert, he's on a team that is emerging to be excellent. Dark horse to make the playoffs and dark horse as a Super Bowl contender. Justin Herbert continues to play the position the way he's playing the position. He is going to be one of the elite quarterbacks in our game. But I'm going to just simplify this. This is about who has the greater capacity to play the position. As much as I love you, Dak, you do have a lower ceiling than Justin Herbert. And it's starting to show, and it's starting to show fast. Now, if the team can stay healthier around the Chargers like they have so far, the Chargers are going to be something to reckon with. And Dallas is already dealing with the injury bug. So for that reason, on top of the fact that Dak of late has not been supported fully, it's Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you guys having the love fest for Justin Herbert. He was the offensive rookie of the year, and he deserves to have his props. However, I feel like you're not giving Dak Prescott the flowers that he so deserves. When I think about Dak Prescott coming off a 400-yard game, he's had 8 400-yard games since in his first 6 seasons, only behind Dan Marino, who had 9. And so when we're talking about Dak Prescott, we need to begin to get comfortable and talk about Dak Prescott in the conversation of legend. Because what he's doing, he's putting up legendary numbers doing it when he doesn't have everything around him. And so when we talk about Dak Prescott, not being afforded all the things that other quarterbacks are, well, I think this situation is right because we always judge quarterbacks on their ability to put the offense on their back. But Dak Prescott has shown that he can put it on their back. So if this game turns out to be a shootout, which it may have to be for the Dallas Cowboys to win, I feel fully confident that Dak Prescott can go to the shootout and win it. Last week, he went to the shootout with Tom Brady and fared well. This week, if he has to go against Justin Herbert, he'll fare well as well.
Bucky, I love the way you walked that around there.
Yeah.
He was in a shootout with Tom Brady, and he fared well. He fared well. He was there. He did his job.
Yeah.
He didn't win. And ultimately, the numbers and what Dak Prescott is doing is very impressive. But I can't help but feel like they're a bit of empty calories because are they resulting in wins? And you can look at it and say, well, that's because he's not getting enough help. The defense is good at whatever it might be. If those numbers aren't resulting in victories, and if I look at the last the five games that Justin Herbert has played, Marcellus mentioned it, 5-game winning streak. Last 5 games that I've seen with Dak Prescott, he's only beaten 2 teams, the Falcons and the Giants, and he's lost the other 3. And those numbers have all been sensational. But ultimately, if they don't translate into wins, then I'm not buying it. And I can say that I have more confidence in Justin Herbert because whatever the numbers are going to be, I feel as if they're going to produce the ultimate result, which is a win. And the big picture is, Dallas Cowboys feel cursed. I mean, we got an offensive lineman now having a heat stroke on Thursday. It seems like every day something happens that is sending them in the wrong direction. And Dak Prescott can be as optimistic as he wants, and he can be the one shining thing that is sticking around this year. But with everything else that's going on with the Dallas Cowboys, it just doesn't feel like they're giving him the opportunity to win with everything that he's doing.
I didn't expect some pushback from Bucky. I know Bucky and I, we're bosom buddies in terms of our love for Dak Prescott. But with that pushback, you just unactivated me. Now I'm going to push back at you. And it's going to sound like some slander at Dak Prescott, which I said I wasn't going to do. But damn it, Slick, you started something. I got to finish with you, big dog. You talked about the last 5 games for Dak Prescott. Forget all that. Let's talk about the last 3 games in focus because he's lost those last 3 games. 57 passing attempts, 58, 472 passing yards, 502, 403. You would think Dak Prescott done did something. Yeah, he lost, and he lost. All of those empty calorie games. It ain't adding up, big dog. Say what you want. You know Dak has a losing record against AFC opponents. Do you know that Dak has lost his last 4 starts versus AFC opponents? Do you know that Dak has lost 6 of his last 7 games against AFC opponents? Do you know that early Dak, owned playing in the NFC East as well as just playing against opponents? He had winning records. Dak has never had a losing record when healthy. However, Dak at home versus Dak on the road. Let's talk about this because I'm seeing Dak's name by Andy Dalton's and Sam Darnold as the lowest win percentage on the road in the last 2 years. What is going on? Andy Dalton got 4 wins, 14 losses. That ain't good. Sam Darnold sitting there saying, I got you, 5-14. That ain't good, but a little better. And here go Dak Prescott with his winning self. 6-13? You get him away from Jerry's world, and he don't know what world he's in? It's empty calories, Bucky. You're going to have to defend yourself because now we're starting to shoot at your boy Dak.
I'm really surprised because they got 2 basketball heads over here talking about empty calories and the like, and yet we're judging quarterbacks off a stat. Quarterback wins in a team sport where we have an offense, defense, and special teams. We're blaming Dak Prescott for everything that happens to the Cowboys. It is almost as if when we look at basketball, we don't like Russell Westbrook's triple-doubles because they're empty calories because he's basically just taking it off the rim. So I need to understand what are we doing when it comes to evaluating players? Are we judging them based on their team success or their individual success? Because I feel like the goalposts are always moving when we have this conversation. But for Dak Prescott, here's what I'm going to say. Dak Prescott and the number of pass attempts, that actually doesn't play to this favor. I am not advocating that Dak Prescott has to have 50 or more pass attempts because it actually works against what I think their formula for success is. running the football, shrinking the game, time of possession being over 32 minutes so the defense doesn't have to face Justin Herbert all the time. The Dallas Cowboys have a clear path to victory, and that clear path is playing keep away on offense. So I don't care if Dak passes for 100, 400. What I do know is at the end of the day, they need 30-plus minutes of time of possession. He needs to be efficient. That is the only way the Cowboys can win. And so he may have to do a little more because of all these empty calorie arguments that you guys are talking about. I can't defend him on that because he's so good putting up numbers. I can't defend that.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Bucky, don't accuse me of something I didn't do. I'm not blaming Dak Prescott. I'm not blaming Dak Prescott. All I'm saying is Dak Prescott hasn't been good enough to overcome everything that the Cowboys are asking him to do. And you giving me numbers that are impressive and legendary still doesn't get me to the finish line.
Slick, let's do it. Bucky just, the beginning of your argument, you had me, because it's like, why are we going to penalize Dak for putting up numbers? That's what you're supposed to do. Everyone put up their numbers when they're one-on-one matchups, and then it adds up. I give you that. But then at the end, I don't know if you ran out of steam or you're just like, look, they ain't listening no more, so let me just say this. You said they need a balanced attack. They're going to go out there and run the ball or control the clock. Run the ball. Zeke has been in decline since Zeke got to Dallas, bruh. It's crazy. And now we're seeing Zeke go out there and have 11 rushing attempts. And they are saying during the work week, you know what? Sometimes you can have a good game without having stats to support it. Zeke, what? Where? Huh? Make it make sense, Bucky, because if Dak has the stats, but they're empty, but then Zeke doesn't have the stats, but he says they're full, I don't know what's going on in Dallas. Talk to me, bruh.
Okay, well, here's what I'll tell you. You have an offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, a former quarterback who loves to travel by air. He doesn't want to run the ball. And so he came out and had a quote where he said, all yards matter. It doesn't matter if they're rushing, if they're passing, it's just about the yards. And I was like, no, because the running game does show a level of physicality and toughness, something that football is predicated on. You also need to run the ball to control the clock and all those things. And so what you have, I believe, is you have a play caller who doesn't necessarily fully understand how they should play winning football. The Cowboys haven't played winning football for a while. What the Cowboys have to do is understand where their strengths lie. Their strengths lie with this offense, but the offense has to also play defense, meaning they have to get out in front, they have to play from ahead, they have to control the ball, and all of those things, because the defense is not quite up to snuff. And so if this becomes a shootout where it's back and forth, a little ping-pong football, it's not one that plays in the favor, even though I'm saying Dak Prescott is going to do his thing because he always does his thing. He averages. He's going to put up 400 yards because lately that's what he does. It just hasn't resulted in the way that we would want it to result as a Dak Prescott fan.
Okay, Bucky, so help me out here. I've got no pass rush against Justin Herbert. I've got an offensive coordinator that isn't on the same page with my quarterback, or at least the way that I need to play. And I am supposed to have confidence in Dak Prescott because...
Best players make it right. The best players will always make it right. It's a player's game. So we're going to put it on the best player. And so I'm going to say that the best player in this game is going to be Dak Prescott. He's proven it time and time again. And so on Monday, when I come back, you guys can apologize for me for all of the slander that you've thrown at me and number 4 for this effort. But Dak Prescott...
Okay, wait a minute.
Apologize.
He's the best player in the game, but in order for the Cowboys to win, they need to balance it out and not put too much on his plate. Am I? Tell me if I'm getting this right, because it kind of sounds contradictory.
No, what I'm saying is, in order to keep Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense on the sideline, they need to balance it out with some runs so the clock will run more often. Now, they can throw it all over the yard, however, incomplete. Don't run the clock. We need the clock to run to shrink the game. Fewer total possessions so that the Cowboys can win. Because ultimately, based on what you guys are saying, it doesn't matter what Dak Prescott does. As long as the Cowboys win, he's been the hero because you guys value quarterback wins over individual stats.
Okay. Throw in the towel, Bucky. Throw in the damn towel. Bucky, we ain't going to let you die up here. This is just the A block, man. We got a lot of show to go. It's starting to sound like one of my favorite players, Carmelo Anthony, when I heard some of his teammates talk about his Denver days. And they used to say, man, we didn't win the game. And Carmelo would sit there kind of with a little smirk, they said, because he got his 30. Now, if you're going to tell me that the Dak Prescott is going to get his stats, but the Cowboys ain't going to win the game, I don't know if I want to see that same smirk out of another one of my favorite players. Coming up, Baker Mayfield says last week's loss to the Chiefs should sting. I'll tell you how much pressure is on him to bounce back. But first, we're talking about last night's wild finish, and it was wild. I'll tell you if I was more impressed with Washington or disappointed in the Giants. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Woo, Bucky, you need a Gatorade.
There was a crazy finish in last night's NFC East battle. Taylor Heineke played well, but his squad was down by 2 in the closing seconds. Washington missed the field goal, but the Giants were called for an offsides penalty. They got another shot and made the game-winning field goal. The Giants are now 0-2 to start the season. Take a listen to Joe Judge after the tough loss.
I'm not sitting here trying to promise you, rainbows and butterflies. The reality is we're going back to work for you. Okay, we're going to go back to work and do everything we can to get this thing right, the right way it needs to be, and keep building this thing to be the team we're going to be down the stretch.
All right, Marcellus, so were you more impressed with Washington or disappointed in the Giants?
Oh, this question only has one answer. Everyone was disappointed in the Giants. How many times and how many ways did they give that game away to finally Washington said, okay, we'll accept your gifts. Oh, my God, this was insane. Let's start here. What about the holding call, negating a 58-yard touchdown run by my man Daniel Jones, who didn't fall down this time, kept it going all the way to the end zone, but he has to bring it back, points off the board. What about that drop by Darius Slayton? Oh, my God, in the end zone. What are you doing, Darius Slayton? This ain't Pop Warner, but this is high school teaching. When the quarterback's in the middle of the field and you are running a post route, you have to run to the upfield goalpost. Why? Because the ball's going to come from the middle to the outside. So guess what? When you're running like this, the angle means it's going to cross over your face, not going to drop right here in your hand. And then he realizes this. Golly, I know he was haunted by his high school football coach. Like, what am I doing? Just drop the easy one. That's 14 points right there, guys. Let's talk about the neutral zone infraction. Gave him a first down on a game-winning drive. And then this one right here. Good Lord. Dexter Lawrence. Now, this one is, to me, questionable, maybe a bad call. He got off the rock like Cortez Kennedy used to get off the rock. And if y'all don't remember Cortez Kennedy, we used to watch film of him and say, he got to be guessing. Ain't nobody that quick off the football. And Cortez Kennedy was, and Dexter Lawrence last night was, maybe too quick. So quick that the referee said, hey, we ain't seen Cortez Kennedy film in a while. We just going to call that. Ain't no way you got off that fast. But that's it. So finally, you get the gift if you're the Washington football team. Yeah, you'll accept this victory, but did you earn it? Hell no. I'm so disappointed in these G-men.
Yeah, I will say I'm impressed with Taylor Heineke and what he's been able to do coming in as the backup. We're talking about a guy who was a backup in the XFL not that long ago. So impressed there. But yes, without question, more disappointed in the Giants for all the things that you mentioned. And Dexter getting off quick. Okay, it's a field goal. Are you going to sack the holder, or what are you trying to attempt here in this case, right? I don't understand why you're going to be offsides in this instance. And I'll even go back further to when the Giants kicked their last field goal. They only took 16 seconds off the clock before they ultimately kicked that field goal. They did nothing to burn clock. So not only am I putting this on Dexter, but it was a comedy of errors. Joe Judge did his part in contributing to this loss. But to your point, Marcellus, this game could have been won a half dozen different ways. And Washington took advantage of the mistakes, but the mistakes were made that opened the door.
Okay. I'm going to stand up for Dexter Lawrence, and I'm going to stand up because it's personal. My dad was Dexter Lawrence's high school coach. He coached as his D-line coach at Wake Forest Roseville High School. So what I'm going to say was an egregious error for Dexter Lawrence, but he was well coached and he knows not to jump off. That's it. He's lost a handful of kicks in his career in college, and maybe he felt like he could be a superhero at that point. That said, I am really disappointed in the Giants because a team and a coach that prides himself and themselves in being disciplined, tough, accountable, and all those things, too many errors in critical situations. The holding penalty that negated Daniel Jones' touchdown, being unable to come up with the catch down the field when you have, really, we call it a lottery ticket. Daniel Jones spots open receiver down the field. You got to cash that in. And so, to me, the Giants were a team that was clearly the better team last night, but they didn't get it done. And so now I'm looking at Joe Judge and this 0-2 Giants football team sideways, because the team that many thought that they would contend for a playoff spot or maybe even win the NFC East, right now they're in the cellar dweller. For the 5th year in a row, they're 0-2, not the start that we expected from the G-Men.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about Joe Judge right there, because like you said, get the ball, watch the 20-yard line. You get super conservative, go for the field goal, don't manage the clock properly, you lose that game as well. We all know that talk is cheap, especially in a physical sport like football. And Joe Judge is guilty of tough talk. I'm not a fan of this whole stern, tough talk approach and giving me all these mantras when the guys are actually not out there playing with that same mental toughness or even that physical toughness. Now, they should have won this game, but at the same time, Coach, you barking a lot more than that bite. And I'm starting to get a little off on Joe Judge because I'm not seeing it materialize fully to his team. That said, I do see Jason Garrett starting to have some imprint on Daniel Jones in terms of his success and efficiency. That was his 29th game last night, but only his 4th game in Daniel Jones where he didn't have an interception or he didn't have a fumble. And 4 of those last 7 games, that's when that occurred. So of late, we're starting to see Daniel Jones try to fix his turnover issues, which is undermining a lot of his good things. 102 passer rating, 7th game of his career where he was over 100. So he's starting to show flashes of why they drafted him so high. Some say too high. But all that said, it's not going to work if coach is not going to instill the proper culture, not just talk the proper culture. Because I think that's what you do when you leave Bill Belichick. You say what Bill Belichick would say. You act like Bill Belichick would act. But damn it, it got to materialize. And I think it needs to come from a place of authenticity. I'm not questioning fully Joe Judge, but I'm starting to look at his team saying they're leaking in a direction that he told me they would never leak. And now that's going to start to point the finger at you.
Yeah, there's a lot of disappointment to go around. I'm actually disappointed in the Washington football team as well, particularly their defense. I expected them to be a lot better than they were, and this was an opportunity that was missed. But you know what I'm really disappointed in? I'm disappointed in the show that Bucky Brooks is having to have right now, because first he had to defend Dak Prescott in the indefensible, and now he's got to defend Dexter Lawrence.
Oh,
my goodness, Bucky Brooks. I can't get past any of that. I am feeling for you now, bro.
Yeah, look, I've been backed up in the corner the entire day, just trying to fight myself out, much like Joe Judge is going to have to fight out of the corner with these New York Giants, because a team that really is a really talented team. They try to do everything to upgrade the personnel around Daniel Jones. They brought in Kadarius Toney. You see Kenny Galladay, and both of those guys are already griping about not being involved enough in the offense. Defensively, they're not necessarily playing up to snuff, because Patrick Graham did a great job last year of getting this group to play at a high level. You can see the energy, the effort, the intensity when they're playing. Right now, we're not seeing that. And so I'm really worried about this team, because I feel like Daniel Jones played about as well as Daniel Jones could play last night. That's probably one of the best games that we've seen from him in terms of using his entire game, using his legs, using his arm, being efficient, taking care of the ball, all of those things. And it still didn't result in a win. So if Daniel Jones plays at that level and they can't win, how are the New York Giants going to win when he normally doesn't play at that level? Look, it just looks like a tough road ahead for the New York Giants.
Exactly. Daniel Jones, 69% completion percentage, which was the 3rd best of his career, and y'all still lose. And not only that, as much as Taylor Heineke was out there balling, and I'm on Taylor Heineke in terms of supporting him. I hear a lot of people still off on him, but last year watching him play in the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you saw that game, and they were within 5 points at the end of the ball game. So he keeps them going, man. Whatever you want to say about his connection with his receiving core, it's something to watch and something to witness. I think he plays big in big moments. So I got respect for him right now. But his team, especially offensively, still bad on 3rd down, still bad on money down. Against the Chargers, 30%, 3 for 10. Last night, 30% once again. Wait a minute. So Taylor Heineke out there balling, but y'all not balling on third down. And then we get a great game from Daniel Jones, and that still doesn't add up to a victory. Something ain't right. If the players out there getting it done and it ain't adding up, now it's starting to look at the sidelines. Watch your head, Joe Judge. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers is ready to move on from last week's blowout loss. But I'll tell you if the offseason drama hurt the Packers locker room. This is going to be fun and spicy. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. This weekend on Fox, start Saturday strong with the big noon kickoff pregame show, 10 Eastern, live from Norman. Then at noon Eastern, Nebraska takes on third-ranked Oklahoma. Huge big noon Saturday begins at 10 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers had a rough week one with a blowout loss. Now they're on to face the Lions at Lambeau on Monday night. Hall of Famer Michael Irvin thinks some of the offseason drama may have trickled into the locker room and is showing on the field. Reigning MVP is known for telling everyone to relax, and this week was no different. Take a listen.
Look, we've won a lot of games around here. We've lost a few, but you move on. You know, it doesn't matter if you play incredible and put up 50 or you get blown out. You move on to the next opponent. There shouldn't be some big drastic change and alteration the way that we do things, the way we practice, the way we prepare. If it's good enough to get you to this point, then it's good enough from this point forward. So I haven't changed any of the stuff that I've been doing. Obviously, you know, we got to play better. But if we're starting to freak out after 1 week, we're in big trouble.
Joined now by the co-host of The Herd, Joy Taylor. But Slick, has Aaron Rodgers' drama hurt the Packers locker room?
It has to, Marcellus and Joy. It has to, because it would be one thing if he was taking issue with the play calling. Then you're taking issue with the coaching. But if you are taking issue with the personnel, but you want a voice in the front office in terms of who is on the team, that means you're not happy with who's in the locker room. And if I'm in the locker room, I'm thinking, is he talking about me? Does he think I am not good enough to be here? And he now apparently has at least 1 foot out the door, doesn't want to be in Green Bay at all. So he's essentially saying, I'm not good enough to get the job done with him. And all of that is well and good when you're the MVP and you're playing like one. But when you play like he did in this last game, that changes the dynamic. And then when you kind of step back and you let everybody know, hey, this is how we need to do things, that patience and that confidence and that belief in a guy talking that way, like I got the answers for everybody, when you don't have the answers for your own game, that's going to stop me real short, especially if I get the feeling like you're saying that I'm not good enough to get the job done. You better make sure that you are good enough to get the job done. And Aaron Rodgers, for the first time in maybe a long time, demonstrated that he wasn't up to the job. And whether the offseason issues were a part of that or whatever it was, that changes the whole dynamic in terms of him being dissatisfied about with everything else that is around him.
I'm with you, Slick. It has to impact the locker room. It has to hurt the locker room. Got a question. Is Aaron's hair wet or dry? It's starting to look a little weird to me. I don't know. Anyway, all right. If you look at this situation in football, let's talk football. Let's talk the ultimate team sport. Let's talk about how complaining really has an impact on the ultimate team sport and anyone else out there who hasn't even played the game of football. When you complain, you got to realize what you're really doing. You're all of a sudden authorizing everyone else who is battling an imperfect world, because none of us have perfect lives, even Aaron Rodgers. But when you complain, all of a sudden you set the dominoes in motion for everyone else who is fighting that battle of imperfection, of going out there and trying to play a sport that's based on will and skill, to now start to look at themselves and say, what is wrong with my situation? What is wrong with what we're doing? Should I be listening to coach? Should I question that play call? Should I be looking at my very existence with a complaint as well? Because we are all in on this pact, like this silent pact that we are all pushing past some of the imperfections in our way. But when the leader sits there and says, you know what, guys? Man, this ain't right. everyone else says, you know what? You're right. And then they start to have their own inner battles of what's right and wrong. I've been on teams before where someone gets in that position of leadership, and then they don't want to hold up to the responsibility of that position of leadership. And it trickles down. And then the lesser guy who's now going to start saying, man, look, man, our therapy line too long. Man, look, what y'all feeding us? Man, look. And you just start to hear it fester, and it materializes. It actually comes out in performance. So Aaron Rodgers, you dropped the baton, and none of your teammates, because they're not Aaron Rodgers, is going to pick it up because they don't want to be combative to you. So not to go too far on the couch with this, but damn it, Aaron Rodgers, as soon as you start complaining, them other dudes in their head quietly, silently started to look at their own self and started to complain as well.
Guys, relax.
Oh, God, I can't with Joy.
Oh, here we go.
RELAX, relax. We don't want to put too
Straight
much
out of the Aaron
on
Rodgers
wax
playbook.
before they go up against the Lions and smoke them. They're favored by 11.5, according to Fox Bet.
Yep.
You feel like putting any money up on the feisty Lions this weekend, guys? Because I don't. I think they're going to be fine. Yes. Did some of this offseason drama affect week one? Sure.
Okay.
Is Aaron Rodgers, as the leader, fighting with the organization and posting last dance memes with Davante Adams, setting a tone for the season and for the locker room overall? Yes. Does that mean that they're not going to go out against the Lions this weekend and put up a great performance? I don't believe so. Now, if that happens, I will back off and deny I said any of this. But as of right now, I think the Packers are still a good team. But everything that happened in the offseason is why I didn't like Aaron Rodgers for MVP this year. I don't think that the Packers are going to have a Super Bowl-type season. Will they win their division? Yeah, because the division is terrible. But Aaron Rodgers and the front office beefing is, again, not Aaron Rodgers' fault. I maintain this from the very beginning. This is on the Packers. If you didn't want Aaron Rodgers to come into a season looking ahead to his next team, looking ahead to his future, why'd you draft Jordan Love? This is your fault. As always, I lay this at the feet of the Green Bay Packers. Know your personnel. He's been there 16 years. You probably know a little bit about him and about his energy and about his personality and how he was going to react to this. And have a plan, because you clearly made the aggressive effort to take his replacement, meaning he would no longer be your quarterback, meaning as a human being, leader or not, he's going to start talking about his own timeline and thinking about his future in the NFL because you made him in bringing in his replacement. So did it affect the locker room week one? Sure. I don't think that you can deny that. You only have so much energy in a day to distribute. And if you're putting energy towards beefing with the front office, which may be fair or not, depending on what your opinion is, I think it is, it's still energy going elsewhere. And that's going to affect other people around you. So yes, did it affect week one? Yeah. Are they going to smoke the Lions this weekend? I believe so.
So I'm not worried about them in terms of the Lions. Short term, I agree with you, Joy. I would expect that they're going to win that game. But I'm glad you brought up the last dance meme, because I've been thinking about the message that sent to the entire locker room as well. It's me and Davante Adams. We are Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. And we are going to try to deliver the last dance, which means we're going to win a championship going out the door. Well, not every time a championship team announces that it's going to come apart, or a championship caliber player says, I am leaving, does it work as a bonding event? Does it bring everybody together? Just as many instances where it brings people apart. LeBron James in Cleveland, and what that looked like ultimately when he made it clear that he was looking to go someplace else. More often than not, it can pull things apart. And it just depends on how that star plays and how the team goes. And getting off to a bad start, getting off to an embarrassing start, not just for the team collectively, but for that star player who is looking to go elsewhere, that suddenly becomes something that you have to overcome. It becomes one more challenge. And it wasn't as if we went into this season thinking that the Green Bay Packers were the favorite to win it all. They had some things to overcome already. So when you add this to the equation and what it creates in the locker room about, well, is this a Last Dance comparison, or is this kind of the thing where Cleveland, where LeBron ripped off his jersey as he's leaving the court in Boston, and we're not getting anywhere close to a championship? There's some work to be done, and it's not just beating the Lions, it's how they play and how Aaron Rodgers plays in order to bring that locker room back together.
Yeah, it's wild. I got to push back on you, Joey, a little bit on this one because nobody in the NFL should be less affected by them drafting your replacement than Aaron Rodgers his damn self. Because, as my grandma used to say, how you get here is how you going to get there. And guess what? How'd you get to Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers? You were drafted to replace a legend. And you sat there for 1, 2, 3 years, right? And I guess in that time, you held up a lot of resentment because now at the end of your time with the Green Bay Packers, you want to let it all out. All right, go ahead and do that. But you know what? You're going to be compared to the greats. So let's compare you to another great who had their replacement drafted behind them. Jimmy G in 2014. You know what Tom Brady did to that second rounder behind him? Just kept winning Super Bowls and kept winning MVPs after the fact that Jimmy G was sitting there trying to replace him. Now, it's not a talent conversation because Jordan Love doesn't compare to Aaron Rodgers, just like Jimmy G doesn't compare to Tom Brady. But there are forces at work that Aaron Rodgers should know about because he went through that before early in his career. But now he gonna act brand new. Now he gonna act like, oh, the NFL shouldn't be trying to replace me. How about being irreplaceable? How about like everyone? My last year in Buffalo, contract year, they drafted a first-round DN by the name of Eric Flowers. Saw him first day of practice, thought he was better than me too. Really was up in my head, but I said, you know what? He ain't gonna take my money from me. I got to get this. Bro, that's how the wheels turn. And now Aaron Rodgers is gonna try and change it and gonna try and reinvent the wheel because he and his feelings. Joy, the floor is yours.
So.
Yes, ma'am.
So.
Yes, ma'am.
Was Brett Favre's exit from the Green Bay Packers very sweet, comfortable exit? Because I recall it being a wee bit bumpy.
Yeah, a lot.
So if time is a flat circle, then we're back here again. And again, it's the Green Bay Packers that is the consistent factor in their star Hall of Fame level quarterbacks leaving in an uncomfortable way. So bringing up Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers replacing Brett Favre, history is repeating itself. And as far as Jimmy G goes, Tom Brady got Jimmy G out of here. So they took his replacement. Sure, he went out there and won, but then he got him up out of here. He went around Bill Belichick and said, look, this Jimmy G guy, right? He's a little too handsome for me. He got to go. Send him to the other coast. He's got to go to the other coast. And they did. And Jimmy G is not as good as Tom Brady, no. And Jimmy G is not as good as Aaron Rodgers, no. And Jordan Love isn't as good as Aaron Rodgers. It's okay to be angry or upset or bothered that an organization has brought in your replacement and you just won an MVP. Aaron Rodgers isn't wrong in feeling that way. What the issue becomes is what is he going to do with the rest of the team and to the rest of the team with his beef with the front office. Yes, it is spilled over into the locker room. I don't think that you can deny it. I don't know how it wouldn't. If there was this much drama at any organization or any company, it would affect everybody because you know how it is. People get to talking and everything that you guys mentioned is true. But they really weren't that good of a team to begin with, which is why the Jordan Love draft was an issue. You were at the doorstep of the Super Bowl, and instead of improving your roster, instead of being aggressive and pushing yourself over the line to get there, you brought in a replacement for a position that you did not need to replace.
Well, that sounds good in story form. They weren't at the doorstep of the Super Bowl. They were better off across the street because they got mollywopped to get to
NFC Championship game?
Yeah, and they got mollywopped. That game was over before it started.
That's the last game before the Super Bowl, and you didn't improve.
They had long arms. They were knocking from across the street. They were not in that game from hell no, and that was Aaron Rodgers' fault. Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in championship games. Aaron Rodgers has an 83 passer rating in championship games. Aaron Rodgers does not show up the same in championship games. It's just the way it goes. And history does repeat itself when you don't learn from history. So, yeah, you want to blame the organization. Let's blame Aaron Rodgers. If you saw Brett Favre, the legend, go out of here bumpy, you're going to do the same damn thing. You're not going to learn from the great. You're not going to learn from the living legend himself. And I love Aaron Rodgers for responding to when they did draft Jordan Love. What did he do? He won an MVP and he basically kept quiet. Well, why you can't finish that deal? Why you can't keep traveling that path? Now all of a sudden you're leaking. Why are you leaking now? You just came off an MVP. to me, it's just a little too much emo. Like, teams are always trying to replace you. The onus is on you to make sure that they can't replace you. Now we're going to try and reinvent how our businesses work? It's not the way it goes, Aaron Rodgers. And if anybody knows that, it's Aaron Rodgers.
No, agree 1,000% there. And it's not, Joy, I agree in terms of the Green Bay Packers could have made this better. It didn't have to become the issue that it became. But Aaron Rodgers is trying to reinvent the Green Bay Packers. Like, how crazy is that? Right. However good you are, the idea that you're going to change the way the NFL does business in general and the Green Bay Packers do business in particular, and they're not bowing to what you want to have happen or you want to do, and you're going to do it understanding. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't understand this, then I have to think less of him than I do, which is, in the big picture, what is your motivation this year? Is it to win the battle with the front office, or is it to win another Super Bowl? Where should your focus be at this point? And I would hope that it's on the locker room and let me make the best out of this situation, because I certainly didn't get what I wanted out of all of the offseason drama. But let me not carry it in to the season. And as of right now, he has. So he has some work to do. And while he took at least partial blame for this loss, it would have really done me a lot of good if he had said, hey, we had a lot happen during the offseason. Wasn't good for us. I need to get us back. I need to get back to where I was last year. That would have said a lot to me, and I think it would have said a lot to the locker room.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't think that that's how Aaron Rodgers is made up. I don't think that that's his personality. And one thing about Aaron Rodgers is you're going to get Aaron Rodgers every single day of the week, which whether we like it or not, I can respect the authenticity of Aaron Rodgers. But you mentioned, Rick, how the Green Bay Packers do business. How do they do business? Because the way that the Green Bay Packers do business has resulted in 30 years with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, first ballot Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and 2 Super Bowls. So how they do business is they love to be good, not great. So changing how the Green Bay Packers do business might not be the worst thing for the Green Bay Packers. They are extremely conservative, which has led them to winning the division. They love to win the division. Oh, don't they love to win that division? They love that. And then what? Sal, you just mentioned they were across the street at the Super Bowl, right? They were in the NFC Championship game. The next game is the Super Bowl. You feel like they're across the street?
Yeah, they were kind of far from it.
Yeah, they were kind of far. So what do? Do you make some effort? Do you do something aggressive in the offseason to get yourselves on the doorstep of the Super Bowl, to get into the Super Bowl? Or you do what you always do, which is be good enough to compete in the playoffs and not make the Super Bowl? You have 2 Super Bowls in 30 years. Great, congratulations. Okay, that's more than the Dolphins have, right? But you're a competitive team. You're not a championship team. You haven't been for a long time. So you can't continue to say that you do business the best way if it's not resulting in the ultimate win, unless you just like to be good. Some people just like to be good. I don't know.
Okay, well, but there's 2 ways to look at that when it comes to business, Joy. I mean, if you are consistently good, as there's 32 teams, and winning the division every year, you get tired of that. I mean, you can look at the other teams in the division. They wish they could be the Green Bay Packers.
Right, but
there are a lot of franchises.
If that's the standard for what you do, then
Understood.
I can respect that. You like to be good, not great. But don't try and pitch me on you are a championship contender and you're right there if you keep doing conservative stuff and keep doing the same thing. What is the definition of madness?
Well,
doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
How many times have they been to the championship game? I mean,
5.
They're getting there on a fairly consistent basis. So, whether it's across the street or whatever, they're a lot closer than 28, 29, 30 teams in the entire league. I'm not going to suddenly say that the Green Bay Packers don't know what they're doing or that they're not doing. If they've taken full advantage of the quarterbacks that they've had, you can make that case. Have they not put competitive teams consistently on the field? I can't say that they haven't
No,
done
they
that.
absolutely have. But are you trying to be competitive or are you trying to win championships? Because the evidence shows that you're trying to be competitive, not trying to win championships. They're not an aggressive organization.
Or they bet on the wrong people. And that's the thing. Like, conservative or risky, how you go to Vegas, the conservative people sit there and say, hey, we're playing a long game. And the risky ones will say, hey, we in and out of Vegas 48 hours. I'm trying to get it. And you know which one helps build more hotels in Vegas? The risky ones, not the conservative ones. So I lean towards a conservative approach more than the risky one. But it's amazing, Joy. You just solved this Rubik's Cube for us. Because you just said the parallels between Brett Favre and his exit. He couldn't fully hold his water, right? He finally had to leak and show his emotions and mess everything up that he had carefully designed for over a decade. And Aaron Rodgers is going to do the same damn thing. It's that Spider-Man meme. Like, they point at each other. They the same damn dude. And then you see Tom Brady just sitting there up high looking down at both of them, pointing at each other like, y'all ain't the same. See, when Tom Brady went through this issue, you know what he did? He called his agent. And his agent was the same agent as Jimmy G's. And their agent was a consultant with Bob Kraft. And they worked something out because they know how to hold their water and finish the deal. And that mental makeup, that personality difference, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to say about it, is maybe the difference between a conservative New England Patriots and Tom Brady winning 7 championships and the same amount of NFC championship games as Aaron Rodgers, and he's been in NFC all his damn life. I think it's about that mental approach that materializes on the field because it's still mind over matter.
So I'm so glad you brought up Tom Brady winning that championship.
Which one?
In 1 year in Tampa Bay.
Which one? Oh, okay,
because
okay.
Tom had a ton of input in who was playing there, brought in guys, has input on personnel, not final say, just they consult him. They were very aggressive this year, and what did it result in? A championship.
Well, it didn't go that smooth.
1 year.
He asked for AB from day one. And they said, they said, hell no. And then everybody got hurt.
And brought everybody back.
Who ain't gonna bring Gronk back? Gronk left prematurely. Everybody wanted Gronk back. And then he didn't want AB until every receiver got hurt. And then Bruce Arians had to eat crow. Like, that's not a smooth way of saying that. And Aaron Rodgers didn't go about it diplomatic. If he would have had a diplomatic approach, he would have had a different result. But that's not Aaron Rodgers' personality, though. And that's why he ain't a champion.
That's not what he does. No, I don't disagree. Look,
here's the other part, too.
I'm a 48-hour rager in Vegas. I've limited it to 24 hours now, in and out. I can't do any longer than that, and I gamble one little chip at a time. So whatever that makes me, I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle. But that's not Aaron Rodgers' personality, and the Packers are not aggressive. Using Tom Brady in Tampa Bay as an example is the opposite of what they're doing. They were extremely aggressive.
Yeah, but here's the great difference. What was Tampa Bay beforehand? What track record did they have? They didn't have anything to show for all those previous years. So if somebody comes in, if Tom Brady says, I'm willing to come there, but this is what I need and that I want, if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm saying absolutely. If I have the Green Bay Packers record and I've had, whether it's consistently good or whatever, I've done that, and Aaron Rodgers says, hey, look, by the way, I'd like you to do it this way, I'm going to go, we've been doing this for a while, and we've been pretty good, and we were pretty good with the guy before you, so yeah, okay, just put your suggestions in the box over there. We'll get to you. It's comparing Tampa Bay and where they were when Tom Brady showed up to the battle that Aaron Rodgers with the iconic Green Bay Packers franchise. I can't go with that comparison. Yeah,
it's just crazy. Aaron Rodgers did himself no favors coming off an MVP season. Now we're distracted by your offseason and then connecting it and exaggerating your week 1 failures. And then it distracts us from talking about the other guys out there who weren't playing well at all. Hey, my man Aaron Jones, 22 scrimmage yards. We haven't said Aaron Jones' name once this week. How about my boy Kevin King again? Remember him from the NFC Championship game? Got burnt right before the half. He up there giving up big plays again. Devondre Campbell, you just brought in, bro. You out there looking suspect. That's the worst thing about this. But Aaron Rodgers has responded before. He will respond again. At least we hope, right, Joy? Coming up, the Browns are a huge favorite against the Texans on Sunday. I'll tell you how much pressure is on Baker Mayfield. Another spicy one. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
Baker Mayfield said last week's loss to the Chiefs should, quote, sting, and you need to learn from it. Now his Browns are a huge 13-point favorite at home Sunday against the Texans, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. So, Marcellus, how much pressure is there on Baker Mayfield? to bounce back on Sunday.
Ton of pressure on Baker Mayfield. This may be a lot of narrative and story for him, but I think it's going to hit him in terms of what happened last week and what is projected to happen this week against the Texans. If you're Baker Mayfield, you sit there with the woulda, shoulda, coulda. We could have had that game. We were so close against the Chiefs, everything. And then one of his teammates and one of those assistant coaches, usually it's an assistant coach that only played like a year or so in the league. He got a lot of pinned up aggression, mad that it didn't work out fully for him. And he the raw one. He's not the podium assistant coach. He's the one that come to the players and talk for real to the players. That one player and that one assistant coach gonna say, hey, Baker, how many touchdown passes you have? How many touchdowns you have in the game, homie? Stop talking about this woulda, shoulda, coulda. You could have done more. We could have done more. Shut up about yesterday. Let's talk about the Houston Texans. And then that assistant coach is sitting there saying, hey, Baker, aren't you up for one of those mega deals? One of those big Dak Prescott kind of deals? Yeah, you ain't get no touchdowns last week. We lost. If you lose to the Houston Texans, don't your ass come up here talking about some money next. We don't want to hear this year, next year going forward. If Baker Mayfield, you can't be the reason we win, and you can't beat the Houston Texans, oh, bro, we don't want to hear it anymore. We know this team is not built around Baker Mayfield, but they've had success with Baker Mayfield. So what do you make of Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield is going to have to answer that this week, because if you come back and lose to the Houston Texans and lose to Tyrod Taylor, not Deshaun Watson, Tyrod Taylor, who I respect, but it just seems like the collective doesn't. You lose that game, people are going to look at you worse than the game manager. People are going to look at you worse than being this guy that you think you are, which is an elite franchise quarterback. Oh, they're going to write suspect on you, and it's going to be hard to dig yourself out of that grave.
Marcellus, I am with you. There is lots of pressure on Mr. Baker Mayfield, and it's not simply because of what happened last week, but where the Browns are and what the expectations are. We expect this AFC North to be a seriously competitive division, and the Browns are supposed to be at the top of it. And right now, the Steelers surprised us with their win. I would expect that the Ravens, despite their loss, that they're going to end up 1-1. So you need to, at the very least, maintain. You can't afford to be losing to the Texans. What adds pressure to it is also that they are 13-point favorites. You're not just supposed to beat the Texans with one of the worst defenses in the league. You are supposed to shine. So Baker Mayfield can't just get a win. He's got to have a dominating performance. Otherwise, we're going to start to get this narrative. It's already begun, but it's going to get louder, which is Cleveland Browns are really, really good. Baker Mayfield, maybe not good enough for where they want to go. That's what he has to live down as a result of that, basically the way things resulted last year and the way we've started this year. That's the narrative that he ultimately has to turn. And this is the trickiest part of it, which is it's not by doing more. I can't help but feel like opponents at this stage believe, hey, if we can just get Baker to improvise, we've got the Browns exactly where we want them. He's got to find a way to do less with more, or do more with less, to be efficient, to stay within his game, and be exact in doing it, rather than I'm going to make the hero plays and be the Baker Mayfield that I was slated to be when I first arrived in Cleveland. So there is a very difficult road that he has to navigate right now. And we rarely would look at a week 2 game and say it's a must win. But looking at where the division is and how we're talking about Baker Mayfield, I feel as if this is a must-win for the Cleveland Browns.
Guys, they're playing the Texans, all right? They're playing the Texans, yes. They do need to win this game. They're going to win this game. There's no pressure on Baker Mayfield. I love overreacting, but week 1, I think we just need to take a deep breath, be here now.
Relax. You need to relax.
Relax.
R-E-L-A-X.
It is the Houston Texans. They played Jacksonville. Let's just pump the brakes a little bit. Just tap them, all right? There's no pressure on Baker Mayfield and the Browns. First of all, they were never winning this game. There's no timeline where the Browns beat the Chiefs. It doesn't happen. That's not going to happen. It was never going to happen. So there's no need to overreact to it because they weren't winning this game anyway.
I thought they were.
There's no need. If you had money, just put it on the Chiefs to win. That's the end. Let's discuss why, all right? Patrick Mahomes, he don't lose season openers, okay? He doesn't lose. 4-0. 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Passer rating, 133.7. Andy Reid, 8-1. 12-point average margin of victory. NFL best 7 straight wins. Chalk. They weren't winning this game anyway, so there's no pressure whatsoever. You could have just sailed off into the sunset, not watched a second of it. I could have told you it was going to happen because I can see the future. They were going to lose. So there's no pressure on Baker Mayfield. They're playing the Texans. The Texans beat Jacksonville, a complete rebuild. Urban Meyer's first game in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence's first game in the NFL. They are brand new. The Texans have Tyrod Taylor, who is a savvy veteran. Now, look, they put up a lot of points, but it was a very impressive performance from the Texans. But let's be serious, all right? The Texans are probably going to be one of the worst 3 teams in the league at the end of this season. It was a nice performance by them. Let's not overreact. There's no pressure on Baker Mayfield in this game. I mean, Fox Bet certainly doesn't have any pressure on them. They're favored by 13. Now, I would probably take the Texans because the Browns sometimes play down to their competition. That's a lot of points. But they're going to win this game, and everything's going to be fine. Just take a deep breath.
The
ones in this division who need to be scared, just on a final note, are the Ravens.
Oh, you want to just get there, huh? You want to attack me now because you know I love me some damn Lamar Jackson.
That ain't gonna happen. Too, but the must-win game is for the Ravens this weekend.
Well, maybe it's a must-win game for the best division to not lose to the worst division in football. Maybe it's a must-win game for Baker Mayfield to go out there and beat the guy he used to back up in Tyrod Taylor. Maybe it's a must-win game because there are statistics that show that the more you get from Baker Mayfield, the less you get from the Cleveland Browns. Oh, good Lord. Oh, Baker Mayfield, you threw for over 300 yards once again. Okay, that's the 9th time you've done that in your career. Congratulations. However, what's the record in the previous 8? 2-6. Damn, Baker. So teams are out there almost saying, yeah, more Baker. Less chance of them winning. That's the crazy thing. And Joy says there's no pressure for the wrong reasons. Actually, this is the most pressure. I have known Joy Taylor for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know how old I am. You ain't even, I knew you before you were even here.
Let's call it 20.
No, but her brother, Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer, great, obviously, living legend. Ask JT about this, Joy. When you have to go against somebody who is deemed bad in pass rushing versus someone that is deemed good as a pass protector, right? Or deemed good as a team versus deemed bad as a team. I don't know. Cleveland got to go against KC versus Cleveland goes against Houston. You know where the pressure is? It's not when you're going against the great. It's because, you know what? Anybody could win that one. You can lose that one. It's when you're going against the bad team. I used to hate this when Coach put me against that third stringer undrafted who ain't going to make the team. And everybody looking there clapping like, one-on-ones, go Wiley. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of upside for that guy to beat me. And there's no upside for me to beat him. Like, if I win, duh. If I lose, oh, my God. And that's how Baker Mayfield's going to feel. He's playing the Houston Texans. If he wins, whatever, fast forward, who else you playing? But if he loses, do you understand how his work week is going to be, Joy? Answer that. That's the pressure that's on Baker Mayfield.
No, I don't disagree. If they lose this game, everything's falling apart. I just don't feel like there's any pressure because there's no reason that they should lose this game. Kevin Stefanski's Coach of the Year. You are right, Sel. You are right. More Baker generally doesn't mean good things for the Cleveland Browns. But because they did lose in a game that they were, of course, going to lose, they are now tweaking things. Because when you win, sometimes, you know this, Sel, everyone responds to losing the same way. Not everyone responds to winning the same way. So they're going to be a little tighter this week. They're going to make sure they come out, get this confident win. So the pressure to me is if they lose to the Texans. Right now, that I never expected them to win game 1 anyway. So I don't think there's any pressure on Baker Mayfield. They're the better team. They should win this game, and then we'll worry about the week after.
We need to change your name from Joy Taylor to Chill Taylor because you are just, hey, we are good. Everything is all right.
Them Erykah Badu she got on. She just relaxed.
Joy, you are not taking into account, first of all, to Marcellus's point, we just saw this with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. Tampa Bay Buccaneers come out on their best foot. No, they were expected to win that game, and playing against a compromised opponent, and didn't quite have everything together the way you would expect. And so, as Tom Brady said afterward, they have a lot of work to do. Joey, you're not taking into account how that Cleveland Browns loss ended. Okay, maybe you expected the Chiefs to come around on it. I don't know that we expected Baker Mayfield to basically be sealing their fate by throwing an interception when it would have been far easier to simply throw that ball away, trying to, who knows what he was trying to do there. So ultimately, this is what he's got to live down. This is the most memorable thing from that game. It's not that the Browns were up 2 touchdowns. It wasn't that the Kansas City Chiefs came back and Patrick Mahomes once again demonstrated that he's arguably the best quarterback in the league. It's, Baker Mayfield came up short at the end. And so that's the lens with which we're going to look at Baker Mayfield going forward. And the Browns can win this game. They can cover. They can do all of that. If Baker Mayfield doesn't have a performance that makes us feel better about him as the quarterback of this team and where it wants to go, then the conversation is going to continue. The Browns have a great team. Do they have a great enough quarterback? And that's the pressure that Baker Mayfield is facing even against the Houston Texans.
Yeah, man. Don't think it won't happen and happen fast. Jimmy G is going through that right now. Kyle Shanahan has come up with the equation of, look, because of your health and because you're not always reliable, we're compromised. So I had to go get Trey Lance. Hey, you look at Baker Mayfield, because of your limited ability, whatever that is, I don't know what it is, but you're more of a game manager than a guy that could go out there and sling it around the yard. Okay, we're going to have to start looking elsewhere. It happens that fast. You guys think I'm just talking out about? No, I'm not. Baker Mayfield is this kind of guy, man. I swear Baker Mayfield be full of that emo. He'd be coming out all hype. First half of that game, 118 passer rating. Baker Mayfield looking like good. Okay, we up. Oh, yeah. Y'all know what Baker Mayfield did the second half of that game? 59 passer rating. That got lost. Nobody talked about that. You know what Baker Mayfield did those last 3 drives when they said, Baker, we can win the game. Finish it for us. Other than the game losing pick. 3 straight possessions, 2 yards per play. Baker Mayfield, when they asked you to go show up and do it, you didn't do it. Now, please don't couple that with losing to the Houston Texans. My God, it's going to get ugly. Coming up, the season just started, but is the NFC East really wide open? I'll answer that. We'll all answer that. That's next. Let's head to the NFC East. Washington won a close one over the Giants last night for the first win this season. And the Giants and Cowboys are both winless so far. And the Eagles on top of the division after winning last week. So, Slick, is the NFC East wide open?
No, I'm just going to say it's still the Cowboys to lose. And even though we're fully expecting that they're going to be 0-2 to start. But, hey, that's the beauty of being in this division, is that really doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But when I look across the board, the Washington football team, defense has not impressed me. Yes, they won, but it was a gift from the New York Giants. New York Giants are clearly leaking oil. And yes, the Philadelphia Eagles dominated the Falcons, but let's face it, they are the Falcons. It comes back to what we thought coming into this season. The Dallas Cowboys are still, without question, the most talented team and have the best quarterback in the division. Are they hurting right now? And are those injuries starting to mount? And do I think they're a bit star-crossed? Yes, but it's just hard for me to look at anybody else in the division and see them as a favorite or even on par with the Dallas Cowboys if everything goes just medium for them and Dak Prescott continues to play the way that he has. I don't think they're world beaters. I don't think they're contenders. But do I think that they should win the division? I still feel as if they should win the division and it is theirs to lose.
Rick and I finally agree. Yes, the Cowboys are still in control of this division. And the reason for it is Dak Prescott. He is the only, for sure, quarterback in this division. We know what he is. Does he have some limitations to his game? Maybe. They have the best or second best receiving core in the league. So, yes, Are the injuries a problem and a concern? Of course. But in this division, I still think that they are a step ahead of everyone else. So you look around, you mentioned the Washington defense hasn't really been that impressive. It was a gift from the Giants. The Giants are a whole other conversation, which you guys have already had. So they're almost not even a concern in this division anymore. And the Eagles had a great week 1, but I think it will even out over 17 games. So, yes, Dallas is still in control of this division. It's still their division to lose, and I lay that, of course, at the feet of Dak Prescott. Now, this is a very weird division if you look at the last 5 years. Washington won it last year, then Philadelphia, then Dallas, then Philadelphia, then Dallas. So they like switching it up. But I do think that Dallas is in the best position to win it this year. I have them winning the division, and nothing I've seen so far from Dallas has swayed me from that.
Oh, man. Okay, let me get particular here because I don't fully agree with you guys right here. I think the NFC East is wide open, but not for everyone. Let's just be real about it. Like, the door is wide open for the Dallas Cowboys as the front runners. I think that they should win this because of their talent. Just simply, like, that talent has to finally add up. And Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning head coach. So it finally has to click for the Dallas Cowboys if they could stay healthy. But the door is wide open for them. Now, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you got to go around the side and that window over there. I'm going to take the bars off, you know, where I grew up. So the bar's going to be off, and y'all can climb through here. It's not going to be as easy as the Dallas Cowboys, but I believe in you guys somewhat. Then we get to a situation where, damn, where's the Washington football team go? Okay, we're going back to the front door, but I'm going to close the front door, put the chain on where I grew up, and you can just peek through the chain like, all right, who are you? What you want? What you need? You're not getting in here. It's not going to be easy on you. New York football Giants don't even come to my hood, homie. Don't even come around. Y'all done. Y'all dead. I would hate to be on a team that's 0-2 with these prospects going forward. Like, I don't see that team winning 5 games. Like, it's really that bad. And they should have won last night. But I know one thing. When you're not that good to win games and you're that undisciplined to lose games, oh, you're going to lose a lot more than you win. Bill Belichick takes advantage of teams just like that. So you just look at it in connection. Dallas is going to win this division. Even if they come back 0-2, as Slick said, which I expect as well, they're still going to find their way because Dak, 19-6 in this division since he's been the starting quarterback. So add it up if you want. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys at the end. Let's stay in the NFC, where fans have won nearly $5 million on the Fox Bet Super 6 app, and Terry Bradshaw is putting another $1 million on the line for NFL Week 2. So joy. 49ers-Eagles is one of the matchups, and 63% of America taking the Niners so far. Who wins and by how many?
I also am going to go with the Niners. I'm going to say they win by 3. Philadelphia had some good line play last week, so I'm going to say the Niners win, but it's going to be close.
Vic?
Yeah, I'm going to say Niners win as well, 27-20. I have a little more confidence. I think it's going to be a Trey Lance touchdown that's going to be the difference maker, too.
Boy, y'all sleeping on Jalen Hurts. It's the Eagles by 4. Hey, they over there talking about we got 2 quarterbacks, and Jalen Hurts said they only need me out here. You know the Eagles got that by 4. Scan the QR code on the screen. Download the Fox Bet Super 6 app for free. Predict the outcome of 6 NFL games for your shot to win some of Terry's money. My contract's up next year, Terry. All that money you got. Coming up, the Cardinals dominated on both sides of the ball in their opener. We'll tell you if they're contenders or pretenders. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
The Cardinals showed up in a big way last week. Kyler Murray had 5 total touchdowns, and Chandler Jones finished with 5 sacks in their win over the Titans. Next up, Arizona is a 3.5-point favorite at home against the Vikings. TJ Hushmanzada joins us now, but Marcellus,
yes.
I have to ask you, are the Cardinals pretenders or contenders?
Oh, they're contenders. Sound like you were about to say the Kyler or something like that. Put Kyler in the Cardinals' name or something. I heard it. And you know why you said that? That Freudian slip? Because it's all about Kyler Murray and his maturation, his growth. You can just see it, man. This dude is in more control of himself in terms of the offense, understanding the game, and his emotions, because you know he's going to make plays. Outside of Lamar Jackson, who's more electric with the football in their hands than Kyler Murray? I think he has the quickest, I know TJ knows something about this. Like, in small space, he may be the quickest guy I've ever seen on the football field. Now, Barry Sanders, everyone always retorts. Barry Sanders used to stride, but stride with quickness that made him exceptional. Kyler Murray ain't going nowhere, and he's making a million micro decisions with those little typewriter feet, and that is going to allow him to manipulate defenses and manipulate plays. You can just see it in week 1. Kyler Murray goes out there, 5 total touchdowns, and you can see the success that they had against a good Tennessee Titans team. So I think this team goes as far as Kyler Murray. It's really that simple. I saw growth from him, I see growth from their team, and I see it all starting to click real soon.
I'm with you when it comes to Kyler Murray. I'm not with you when it comes to the Cardinals overall. The question, and that's why I believe that they are pretenders. Looking at the division that they're in, and simply can't take all of that from this win over the Tennessee Titans. Had to ask myself, was it the Tennessee Titans who were a mess, or did the Cardinals make them look messy? And ultimately, it was the Tennessee Titans looked a mess. They were the ones that weren't able to execute. They were the ones that couldn't protect Ryan Tannehill, which is not all that bit of a surprise since they were, 25th in pass blocking last year. So it's just more of the same. Love what they did defensively, and I'm glad that you made the comparison, because this is what I was thinking. I was thinking the exact same thing with the Baltimore Ravens. And I think we disagree a little bit where the Baltimore Ravens are right now. Kyler Murray is the next coming of Lamar Jackson. I see that comparison. I also see the Ravens and the Cardinals in the same camp in terms of I have questions about, do they have a running game right now? Right now, the Cardinals don't, outside of Kyler Murray. Murray, can you survive with your quarterback being your best runner when we're talking about being contenders, not pretenders? And then defensively, how good are they really? How good are they going to be? And that maturity that you talked about with Kyler Murray, I did see it. I expected to see it with Lamar Jackson. And that roller coaster continues, where I see it 1 week and then we take a step back. So I just need to see it more times than once with Kyler Murray to believe that this is the new Kyler Murray. And if I do, then maybe I'm going to shift. But as of right now, far more pretender than contender.
Wow. So I guess I have to break the tie. And the Cardinals are contenders.
Yes.
And Rick, you my guy. So I hate to attack your argument, but I have to attack it.
Oh, please, please.
And so you said Tennessee was a mess. You're a mess because I'm forcing you to be a mess. They couldn't block Chandler Jones. That was a forced mess that he put on them. They couldn't contain that Arizona Cardinal offense. And then you say, oh, they can't run the ball. They look like they ran the ball pretty well on Sunday. Chase Edmonds, 12 for 63, 5 yards attempt. James Conner, 16 for 52. They ran for over 130 yards. Kyler Murray had 5 for 20. That if you can run for over 130 yards in an NFL game, you're running the ball pretty well. Now, that division is very tough. There's no debate about that. But now that they have J.J., just look at their defense. You got J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker. At every level. And I like the rookie from Tulsa, Zayvon. I like him. They have the pieces at every level defensively to try to contend with everybody in their division. Tennessee was a playoff team. Tennessee got better this year on offense by adding Julio Jones. And Arizona completely undressed them. They undressed them. Did Arthur Smith mean that much? Offensive coordinator, that's what I don't know. But the way the Cardinals played, I'm a believer.
I'm a believer too, man. Look, Slick, you know, you got kids. I got kids. My kids almost got kids. I got so many damn kids. But look, I wake up in the morning before they get up, the house is clean. The house don't become a mess by itself. You got to do something to make that thing messy. And guess what? Boy, them Cardinals are out there doing some things to make that look messy for the Tennessee Titans. They didn't just wake up and say, you know what, we're going to play bad today. Boy, they were putting hands in their world, as they say. And that was changing how they were going out there and playing. You got to remember last year, we saw the Cardinals start off fast. They were 5-2 after the first 7. Now, that's why I brought up the maturity of their leader in Kyler Murray. They got to finish what they started last year. This year, they're starting fast once again. Now, of all teams that didn't have a winning record last year, guess what team had the best point differential? These Cardinals. What does that mean to the Vegas people out there and those sharks? They're like, that team is on the verge. That team is on the cusp. That team has something there. And TJ brought it up. They got dudes. They don't have guys. They have dudes, especially on the defensive side. When you mentioned Isaiah Simmons and Budda Baker, J.J. Watt may not get the sack production, but let me tell you what he's going to do. He's going to get push. Chandler Jones gets those 5 sacks in part presence of a J.J. Watt, man, just getting pushed. So you add it all up, I think it's going to be something special out there. I think that they're really contenders.
TJ, you said that they couldn't block Chandler Jones. And what I'm saying is, I'm not sure they can block anybody, okay? It's not just Chandler Jones. He had a phenomenal Sunday. There's no doubt about it. And I hear you. They have some studs on that defense. It's simply a matter of the history of the Cardinals and how much hinges on Kyler Murray and him continuing to be consistent. And when you have a dynamic quarterback like that, and sometimes, you guys know this, sometimes when you are so talented, being able to keep it in the margins and be consistent can be a challenge because you can do so many things.
Facts.
And I think we see Lamar Jackson still facing that challenge and how to harness all of his talent. I need to see that from Kyler Murray. I also am going to look at the history of the Cardinals and I'm going to slow my roll because I'm with you. When I saw them, I was like, damn, that's the Titans. And then I look closer at the Titans. I'm going, okay, they won their division last year, but they got some holes that perfectly match up with the strengths of the Arizona Cardinals. And here's the history here that I'm paying attention to. The Cardinals have not had a winning season since 2015. Cliff Kingsbury has not had a winning season since 2015. If we're talking about the long march, right? We're talking about their ability in order to get this done and be contenders, then I need not just a great start, I need them to be able to carry it to the finish line. And the history here says that they haven't been able to do that of late, either their coach or the team.
History will eventually change.
Yes.
And I look at Tennessee. Their best offensive lineman is Taylor Lewan. He's a good left tackle. He's not a left tackle where you say, oh, he's just a nobody. Chandler Jones made him look like a nobody. And he admitted it after the game, like, I got my butt kicked. I'll be better next week. The Cardinals just have really good players at every level. We didn't even speak on their offense outside of Kyler Murray. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore. They have guys on both sides of the ball that can get it done. History has shown that the Cardinals haven't been able to get it done. But somebody has to be the change, and I believe Kyler Murray is the change.
Exactly. Just like Patrick Mahomes was the change in Kansas City. Remember the history of the Chiefs? 50 years between Super Bowls. And all of a sudden they win one, and we got dynasty talk. What about the history of Tampa Bay? The second worst win percentage of all teams in sports history. Second worst. Then they get Tom Brady, and all of a sudden they win a Super Bowl. Joy Taylor lied to y'all, man. History don't repeat itself unless you don't learn from it or get better from it. Coming up, is Tom Brady ever going to retire? I'll tell you if he can play till he's 50 years old. Damn. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
The Cardinals showed up in a big way last week. Kyler Murray had 5 total touchdowns, and Chandler Jones finished with 5 sacks in their win over the Titans. Next up, Arizona is a 3.5-point favorite at home against the Vikings. TJ Hushmanzada joins us now, but Marcellus,
yes.
I have to ask you, are the Cardinals pretenders or contenders?
Oh, they're contenders. Sound like you were about to say the Kylerers or something like that. Put Kyler in the Cardinals' name or something. I heard it. And you know why you said that? That Freudian slip? Because it's all about Kyler Murray and his maturation, his growth. You can just see it, man. This dude is in more control of himself in terms of the offense, understanding the game, and his emotions, because you know he's going to make plays. Outside of Lamar Jackson, who's more electric with the football in their hands than Kyler Murray? I think he has the quickest, I know TJ knows something about this. Like in small space, he may be the quickest guy I've ever seen on the football field. Now, Barry Sanders, everyone always retorts. Barry Sanders used to stride. but stride with quickness that made him exceptional. Kyler Murray ain't going nowhere, and he's making a million micro decisions with those little typewriter feet, and that is going to allow him to manipulate defenses and manipulate plays. You can just see it in week 1. Kyler Murray goes out there, 5 total touchdowns, and you can see the success that they had against a good Tennessee Titans team. So I think this team goes as far as Kyler Murray. It's really that simple. I saw growth from him, I see growth from their team, and I see it all starting to click real soon.
I'm with you when it comes to Kyler Murray. I'm not with you when it comes to the Cardinals overall. The question, and that's why I believe that they are pretenders. Looking at the division that they're in, and simply can't take all of that from this win over the Tennessee Titans. Had to ask myself, was it the Tennessee Titans who were a mess, or did the Cardinals make them look messy? And ultimately, it was the Tennessee Titans looked a mess. They were the ones that weren't able to execute. They were the ones that couldn't protect Ryan Tannehill, which is not all that bit of a surprise since they were, 25th in pass blocking last year. So it's just more of the same. Love what they did defensively, and I'm glad that you made the comparison, because this is what I was thinking. I was thinking the exact same thing with the Baltimore Ravens. And I think we disagree a little bit where the Baltimore Ravens are right now. Kyler Murray is the next coming of Lamar Jackson. I see that comparison. I also see the Ravens and the Cardinals in the same camp in terms of I have questions about, do they have a running game right now? Right now, the Cardinals don't, outside of Kyler Murray. Can you survive with your quarterback being your best runner when we're talking about being contenders, not pretenders? And then defensively, how good are they really? How good are they going to be? And that maturity that you talked about with Kyler Murray, I did see it. I expected to see it with Lamar Jackson. And that roller coaster continues, where I see it 1 week and then we take a step back. So I just need to see it more times than once with Kyler Murray to believe that this is the new Kyler Murray. And if I do, then maybe I'm going to shift. But as of right now, far more pretender than contender.
Wow. So I guess I have to break the tie. And the Cardinals are contenders.
Yes.
And Rick, you my guy. So I hate to attack your argument, but I have to attack it.
Oh, please. And
bring so
it.
You said Tennessee was a mess. You're a mess because I'm forcing you to be a mess. They couldn't block Chandler Jones. That was a forced mess that he put on them. They couldn't contain that Arizona Cardinal offense. And then you say, oh, they can't run the ball. They look like they ran the ball pretty well on Sunday. Chase Edmonds, 12 for 63, 5 yards attempt. James Conner, 16 for 53. They ran for over 130 yards. Kyler Murray had 5 for 20. That if you can run for over 130 yards in an NFL game, you're running the ball pretty well. Now, that division is very tough. There's no debate about that. But now that they have J.J., just look at their defense. You got J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker. At every level. And I like the rookie from Tulsa, Zayvon. I like him. They have the pieces at every level defensively to try to contend with everybody in their division. Tennessee was a playoff team. Tennessee got better this year on offense by adding Julio Jones, and Arizona completely undressed them. They undressed them. Did Arthur Smith mean that much? Offensive coordinator, I don't know. But the way the Cardinals played, I'm a believer.
I'm a believer too, man. Look, Slick, you know, you got kids. I got kids. My kids almost got kids. I got so many damn kids. But look, I wake up in the morning before they get up, the house is clean. The house don't become a mess by itself. You got to do something to make that thing messy. And guess what? Boy, them Cardinals are out there doing some things to make that look messy for the Tennessee Titans. They didn't just wake up and say, you know what, we're going to play bad today. Boy, they were putting hands in their world, as they say. And that was changing how they were going out there and playing. You got to remember last year, we saw the Cardinals start off fast. They were 5-2 after the first 7. Now, that's why I brought up the maturity of their leader in Kyler Murray. They got to finish what they started last year. This year, they're starting fast once again. Now, of all teams that didn't have a winning record last year, guess what team had the best point differential? these Cardinals, what does that mean to the Vegas people out there and those Sharks? They're like, that team is on the verge. That team is on the cusp. That team has something there. And TJ brought it up. They got dudes. They don't have guys. They have dudes, especially on the defensive side. When you mentioned Isaiah Simmons and Budda Baker, J.J. Watt may not get the sack production, but let me tell you what he's going to do. He's going to get pushed. Chandler Jones gets those 5 sacks in part. Presence of a J.J. Watt, man, just getting pushed. So you add it all up. I think it's going to be something special out there. I think that they're really contenders.
TJ, you said that they couldn't block Chandler Jones. And what I'm saying is, I'm not sure they can block anybody, okay? It's not just Chandler Jones. He had a phenomenal Sunday. There's no doubt about it. And I hear you. They have some studs on that defense. It's simply a matter of the history of the Cardinals and how much hinges on Kyler Murray and him continuing to be consistent. And when you have a dynamic quarterback like that, and sometimes, you guys know this, sometimes when you are so talented, being able to keep it in the margins and be consistent can be a challenge because you can do so many things.
Facts.
And I think we see Lamar Jackson still facing that challenge and how to harness all of his talent. I need to see that from Kyler Murray. I also am going to look at the history of the Cardinals and I'm going to slow my roll because I'm with you. When I saw them, I was like, damn, that's the Titans. And then I look closer at the Titans. I'm going, okay, they won their division last year, but they got some holes that perfectly match up with the strengths of the Arizona Cardinals. And here's the history here that I'm paying attention to. The Cardinals have not had a winning season since 2015. Cliff Kingsbury has not had a winning season since 2015. If we're talking about the long march, right? We're talking about their ability in order to get this done and be contenders, then I need not just a great start, I need them to be able to carry it to the finish line. And the history here says that they haven't been able to do that of late, either their coach or the team.
History will eventually change.
Yes.
And I look at Tennessee. Their best offensive lineman is Taylor Lewan. He's a good left tackle. He's not a left tackle where you say, oh, he's just a nobody. Chandler Jones made him look like a nobody. Mm-hmm. He admitted it after the game, like, I got my butt kicked. I'll be better next week. The Cardinals just have really good players at every level. We didn't even speak on their offense outside of Kyler Murray. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore. They have guys on both sides of the ball that can get it done. History has shown that the Cardinals haven't been able to get it done. But somebody has to be the change, and I believe Kyler Murray is the change.
Exactly. Just like Patrick Mahomes was the change in Kansas City. Remember the history of the Chiefs? 50 years between Super Bowls. And all of a sudden they win one, and we got dynasty talk. What about the history of Tampa Bay? The second worst win percentage of all teams in sports history. Second worst. Then they get Tom Brady, and all of a sudden they win a Super Bowl. Joy Taylor lied to y'all, man. History don't repeat itself unless you don't learn from it or get better from it. Coming up, is Tom Brady ever going to retire? I'll tell you if he can play till he's 50 years old. Damn. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Tom Brady was recently named the top player of all time by The Athletic. But my all-time top 10 players list is a little different. Barry Sanders gets my top spot, followed by Deion Sanders and my former Bills teammate, the great Pops, Bruce Smith. Check out the rest of my top 10. It's legit. My other former teammate, Junior Seau, the late great, is number 4. LT is on my list, but it's LaDainian Tomlinson and Aaron Donald, the only current players who have made the cut. Slick, what's your biggest issue? None. With my all-time top 10 players list.
Marcellus, we don't have enough time. Where am I going to begin? I mean...
Nowhere.
I just don't. First of all, you know what my biggest issue is?
What?
When you first trotted this out, I was on the show. And we pointed out the holes in it, and you still didn't change it. You had an opportunity. You allowed those interwebs to get a hold of it, those Twitter streets, and they put it on you, and you haven't backed off and said, no, that was just off the top of my head. But at least make it make sense. Like, I heard one thing about, well, they were teammates. Okay, you didn't play with Barry Sanders, so that doesn't apply there.
I played against him.
Well, they were all straight ballers. Okay, if we're going straight ballers, you're going to tell me that you're not going to have Lawrence Taylor or Ray Lewis on that straight baller list. Like, I would even go Randy Moss over Terrell Owens if we're going to go straight baller at a particular position. So, are we going winners? I don't know. Deion Sanders is the only guy who's got a Super Bowl among all those.
Same old team award,
just
homie.
Help me make it make sense, Marcellus. That's my biggest issue here. I just don't know which way you were going.
TJ, please check him.
These lists are subjective. And you know what? I'm not even on the show often. And I was on the show when he said this list. So it's kind of crazy.
Yep.
Don't y'all get brand new.
We tried to help him, TJ.
Because y'all ain't say nothing in. Now y'all got something to say now. Let's hear it.
You know what's funny?
What?
I remember this. I said, Marcellus, where Ray at? You said, oh, God, I left Ray out. I got to go change this.
Yeah, that's a
And so my only gripe would be Patrick Willis over Ray Lewis. And you're saying Dan Marino is the best quarterback to ever play, basically. Those are more. Aaron Donald is the best active player in the NFL because he is on the list in your eyes. But outside of that, because this is very subjective, I'm not going to complain. I actually like T.O. at 6.
Yes.
I would take him. I like him over. I would take him over Moss. The Moss that was in Minnesota, absolutely not. But Moss's entire career, I'm taking T.O.
Thank you. Okay, let me justify my list. First of all, I played against Barry Sanders. Boy, stop. That is the best pure football player I've ever seen on the football field. It's just that simple. Right next to him, though, is Deion Sanders, because Deion Sanders could do it all. He's prime time. No stats need to support him. Bruce Smith is the all-time sack leader, y'all, and he played in the 3-4 run defense. Y'all need to shut up on that one. Number 4, Junior Seau went sideline to sideline, concession stand to concession stand, and was tireless. So he's number 4. John Randall. My God, John Randall had 137.5 career sacks, 9 straight seasons with 10 sacks in the interior. Y'all better miss me with that. T.O., y'all can't talk. T.O. the best receiver ever. Because you know why? He didn't play with Montana, Young, or Tom Brady like Randy Moss did. So, nope, not trying to hear T.O. can run every route. Now, we can start talking, y'all, because I got a little hype. I got a little ahead of myself. And Patrick Willis is just a pure beast. However, this is where I got to insert some names, and y'all tell me how to play around with it. Peyton Manning needs to be somewhere around here. Ray Lewis needs to be somewhere around here, and Marshall Faulk needs to get in there. Now, from 7 to 10, I'm listening, but y'all got to make some sense if y'all going to try to insert anybody.
Hey, Marcellus, you a good dude, though, because I can't even be mad at you. You got 3 of your former teammates on here. They got to love you, bro. You're a great teammate.
For real. Because if you see they list of they top 10,000 players, I ain't on none of they lists, but they on my top 10. Respect to y'all, because you know what? I'm going to put out a revised list that's going to actually insert the names at the bottom, not the top.
Beautiful.
Coming up, Lamar Jackson is winless against Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs. I'll tell you if he'll finally get a W Sunday. That's next on Speak for Yourself. So now y'all got
Peyton's going to be on there.
Aaron, Lamar Jackson says Sunday is not about him and Patrick Mahomes, but the former MVP is 0 for 3 against Mahomes' Chiefs. So, Slick, will Lamar finally get the best of Patrick Mahomes on Sunday? Say yes.
No, I don't expect it. And Lamar was only half right. It's not about Patrick Mahomes, but it is about Lamar Jackson. I'm a believer in that he can become a pocket passer, but, man, he forgot about taking care of the ball. What the hell was he doing last week?
Yeah, that's
Speaking of what the hell are they doing, I got to ask you, Marcellus.
What's up, homie?
Your Clippers opened a new arena, and they had a ceremony.
What's wrong?
And your boys all showed up. I'm not sure if they wanted to show up or they were told they had to show up. You got to tell me what's going on with my man Kawhi and Paul George right there. They don't seem all that excited about the new arena.
Would you? Who are them? I don't even know who they are. That ain't Drake. That ain't Kanye. New albums came out. Why you can't get them, Bomber? You got the most money in the world. The thing is, no athlete likes to go anywhere and leave their humble abode to break dirt on an arena that ain't going to be there for another 3 years. Silly. Have a great weekend. Fox Bet Live is next, and Lamar does win. Come on, y'all.